Marrow Hill wasn't a place that people spoke of. It was more of a whisper, a cautionary tale told by the elders, passed down through generations. Hidden deep in the mountains, the village had been abandoned for centuries after a curse fell upon it. No one really knew the specifics of that curse, but the legend said that it drove the villagers insane before they disappeared entirely. No one who had gone looking for the village had ever returned, and the mountains themselves seemed to keep the place hidden, like it was a secret that the earth itself wanted to forget. But curiosity has a way of getting the best of you. It certainly did with me and my friends. We were thrill seekers, always looking for the next adventure, the next thrill to chase. Marrow Hill had been a part of local folklore for as long as any of us could remember, and the more we heard about it, the more we needed to see it for ourselves. After all, curses and ghosts were just stories, right? We'd been on enough expeditions to know that the scariest things usually had simple explanations. But we were about to learn the hard way that some stories aren't just stories. We found the village by chance, or maybe it found us. The hike up the mountain was long and grueling, the path growing narrower and more treacherous the higher we climbed. The air grew thinner, the trees more twisted, as if the mountain itself was trying to warn us off. But we pressed on, laughing at the superstition, dismissing the unease gnawing at the back of our minds. The village wasn't far now. We could feel it. And then, there it was. Nestled in the heart of a hollow, surrounded by dense trees that looked like they hadn't seen daylight in decades, stood Marrow Hill. From a distance, it looked like any other abandoned village. Run-down houses, crooked roofs, and shattered windows. But as we walked closer, there was something unnerving about it. The silence, for one. Not a single bird, no wind, nothing. Just the oppressive quiet of a place that shouldn't exist. The houses were decayed, but not in the way you'd expect. There was no crumbled foundation or collapsed roofs, no signs of long-term disrepair. They stood as if frozen in time, their wooden walls warped and rotted, but still upright, still holding their shape. It felt wrong, like the passage of time had been paused. But what truly unsettled me was the smell. It wasn't the usual stench of rot you'd find in an abandoned town. This was different. It was thicker, heavier. A putrid scent, like something was rotting deep beneath the earth, something that had been buried for far too long. Every breath felt like I was inhaling it directly into my lungs, a choking, bitter taste in the back of my throat. Despite the unease settling in, we pressed on, driven by our curiosity, our need to prove the stories wrong. That's when we saw them, figures, pale faces, watching us from the windows of the houses. At first I thought it was just a trick of the light, a reflection maybe. But no, the faces didn't move. They were there, pressed against the glass, their features impossibly still. I could see their hollow eyes staring back at us, expressionless, like they were waiting. But there was no one inside the houses. My heart started to race. My friends noticed it too, and we all exchanged uneasy glances, but none of us said anything. We didn't have to. The village had already begun to get under our skin. The air felt heavier now, like it was pressing down on us, suffocating us. We turned to leave, but the village wouldn't let us. The streets, which had once seemed so straightforward, had twisted. No matter which way we turned, we ended up back at the same spot. The houses, the rotting windows, the figures. It was like the village itself had shifted, had trapped us. And that's when we heard it. Footsteps, slow, deliberate. They echoed off the walls of the empty streets, but no one was there. Just the sound, but it was enough to make my blood run cold. I told myself it was just the wind, maybe an animal. But deep down, I knew this wasn't normal. Then a growl, a low feral sound coming from the shadows. It was more than just a growl. It was something primal, something ancient. And it was close. So close. My heart pounded in my chest as I turned to my friends. They looked just as terrified as I felt. And then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw movement. Something fast, something dark. It moved like a shadow, quick and silent, darting between the houses. I didn't wait to see what it was. We ran. The streets blurred around us as we bolted through the village, our breath ragged, the pounding of our footsteps the only sound in the air. But the village seemed to stretch on, never ending, pulling us deeper into its twisted maze. It felt like the ground itself was swallowing us up, like the earth was closing in around us, trapping us in the village's grasp. I heard screams, shouts of panic from my friends behind me, but I couldn't stop. I couldn't look back. Something was chasing us. I could hear it, fast, silent, too fast to outrun. The growls grew louder, the air colder. I felt a presence closing in, a weight on my chest, like the very shadows were reaching for me, dragging me down. And then I heard it, the sound of something being dragged, the thud of bodies hitting the earth. I didn't stop. I couldn't. When I finally stumbled out of the village, gasping for air, I turned around. The village was gone. The streets were empty, silent again. The only thing that remained was the faint echo of that growl, still lingering in the air. The search parties came soon after, drawn by the rumors of missing hikers, but they found nothing. They scoured the mountain for days, but no one could find the village. No one could find my friends. They returned hollow-eyed, exhausted and shaken. They refused to speak of it. But I saw it in their eyes, the same terror I felt. They told me to never set foot in Marrow Hill again. That place, they said, wasn't just abandoned, it was cursed. And some curses, they warned, didn't let go. I don't know what happened to the others. I don't want to know. But I do know one thing. I'll never forget the faces in the windows, the growls in the shadows, and the village that wanted nothing more than to keep us there. Have you ever been in a place so cursed that you felt it? A place where the air feels thick with malice, where the shadows seem to watch you, waiting for you to make a mistake? If you've ever been anywhere like that, you know it. You know that it's not just a feeling, it's real. And if you're ever near Marrow Hill, I beg you turn back, it's not a place for the living. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe and follow us for more. Join us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Blue Sky for more bone-chilling chronicles.